Hello, everybody. It's Stephen Paul from WinExtra bringing you your daily brief for April 26, 2011. Despite some really miserable weather on both our ends of the country.
Yeah, it's no Alabama blue skies today. We've got, according to the weather.com anyway, we're supposed to have thunder and lightning, quite a bit of it today, and the skies outside are dull and dark and dreary, and I think to this side I can already hear the rumblings of thunder, so that's why the lighting isn't so great in here.
Yeah, we've got cloud and wet and rain and just generally depressing weather.
This room is usually amazingly well lit just by the natural sunlight that comes in through the windows, but as you can see, artificial light just doesn't do quite as good a job.
We can always be a little happy for Microsoft on one little note that they have a little mascot now. For Windows Phone 7 Mascot.
Yeah, let's put this up on screen. A group of apparently Asian Windows Phone 7 fans came up with this mascot to apparently strike back. I don't know if strike back is the correct word at Android and Apple. Obviously taking cues from the Android guy. This looks more like a white and blue hard-boiled sweet with a Lego brick on its head.
No.
I'm not feeling the love. I mean,
no.
fair dues to them for coming up with a mascot, but
they could have done better.
I'm not feeling the love with this guy. He looks like a Lego brick, or just
it looks stupid.
And a brick with a crown on his head. The crown is supposed to be a W. The crown is supposed to be the Windows. It's a W that's supposed to stand for Windows. So.
Okay.
Fair dues to them for coming up with it. You know what? It's far, far better than my attempt. My attempt is because I didn't come up with one. But I don't know. I think we'll keep the search going for Windows Phone 7 mascots. And I tell you what, folks, if you have a Windows Phone 7 mascot that you've designed, why not email it into us at podcast@winextra.com or drop us a link anywhere you can see the show, and we'll show it off in the next episode or post it to WinExtra itself.
Yeah. Speaking of this is totally off topic. It came out of nowhere. No. Did you know that little Android mascot's a male and it has a donut stash?
I thought that the Android robot was asexual.
No, it's male. The guys over at Phone, what is it? Fandroid, PHAN. They had a post up yesterday. I shared it over at an Inquisitor, but yeah, it's all dissected, and it's a male.
And where does it stash its donuts?
Where its stomach's supposed to be.
What, is it like some retractable drawer?
I don't know. Anyway.
People way too much time on their hands.
I think so.
Apparently we do too, because we're talking about the anatomy of mascots now.
I know. Well, you gotta admit, at least it's a little more cheerful than some of the news coming out for Windows Phone 7, which...
Yeah, because apparently consumer news coming out today via a Nielsen report that we read about through Computer World is that consumer interest in Windows Phone 7 is waning, at which point I turn around and I go, there was ever consumer interest in Windows Phone 7?
There was
fanboy interest. There was the interest among those of us who are Microsoft enthusiasts and thought this would be absolutely awesome, but then Microsoft, in conjunction with the carriers, screwed everything up. And but apparently, according to this Nielsen thing. Yes, thing is what I'm going to say, because this isn't very well quoted. But apparently, between July and September 2010, there was 7% consumer interest in getting a Windows Phone. Now, by Windows Phone, we're not just talking Windows Phone 7, we're also talking Windows Mobile 6.5. And apparently, since January through March 2011, that interest has dropped to 6%. Also interesting is that they say that Android has overtaken iPhone in user base, 31% to 30. Sorry, not in user base, in consumer interest base, 31% to 30% for people looking to get a new phone. They also talk about install bases. Nielsen says Android has a 37% install base. We're of course talking US here.
Yeah.
iOS 27%, 22% for BlackBerry, and 10% for Microsoft. I can't remember when it was ever 10%. I always thought it was like 6 or 7%, even when it was Windows Mobile.
Yeah.
I never thought it got even up as high as 10%. But as we're finding out with today's news, all of these statistical reports, they're all have to be taken with a grain of salt. But the one thing that you can rest assured of is that, yes, people are losing interest in Windows Phone 7. And as we've said many, many times, that's both because of carrier delays with updates, and because Microsoft just isn't pushing things and making this interesting enough.
No. The other area where there's, lack of interest apparently is
developers.
App Central or App Accelerator,
which is the titanium. App Central is the cross development environment for doing like mobile apps.
And they're saying that Windows Phone 7 is a distant third in developer interest. Now, let's be clear about something here. App Accelerator and their nice little fancy cross-platform development environment works on Windows PCs, but does not support Windows Phone.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the people who are using the environment when taking the survey wouldn't be interested in developing for Windows Phone 7. And maybe that was the intention behind this survey.
No. How can you gauge an interest when your product doesn't support the platform? Obviously, the people. No.
Hudson, of course you can gauge the interest.
No, you can't.
Hudson, are you telling me so? That because I don't, let's say right now I don't develop for Mac, so I can't gauge by asking people that I engage with that I can't develop the interest that would be available if I was to start developing for Mac.
If you aren't going to develop
your feckin' Christmas tree, you old cranky Canadian fart.
If you are not going to develop for a platform, why use the tools that support it? You're going to use the tools that support the platforms you're going to develop for. Therefore, you've already got a biased opinion.
No, you haven't already got a biased opinion. You might use a tool to develop for a platform. That does not preclude or exclude you from having the desire to develop for another platform. And it doesn't preclude an existing development platform from surveying its users to figure out whether or not they should start supporting that platform. Just because a developer develops for a platform doesn't mean they won't and do not want to develop for another platform.
This report from App Accelerator, as far as I'm concerned, is crap.
That's because you're a fecking fanboy and anything that reflects badly on Windows Phone 7, which at this point should be put on the death watch. Look, it's very simple. They surveyed their
user base, which are not interested in
apparently 29% of them are interested in developing for Windows Phone 7. So therefore, your entire conclusion is fallacious just based on that statement. You muppet. On to the next story before I reach through the webcam and strangle you for not making sense.
Go ahead.
Alright, according to Consumer Reports, Windows XP is still more popular than Vista. This is another one of those Sorry, Windows XP is still more popular than Windows 7 or Vista. This is another one of those reports that doesn't cite anybody, doesn't cite any information, doesn't link to anything except a report that was on Digital Media, I think, which of course was citing everybody else under the sun. Now, they're saying that Windows XP still is in charge, running 54% of the machines out there.
Didn't we?
They don't state whether or not this is a US statistic or this is a worldwide statistic, but all we do know is that a couple of weeks ago we talked about a Windows 7 report which said that although marginally, and we're talking about in the 30% regions, Windows 7 had just eked ahead of Windows XP in the US, and similar, if not better, results were being seen
in other countries,
in other markets. So again, this is another example of where surveys have to be taken with a grain of salt, and you have to, remove the bias of the person that is reporting the story, not looking at anybody in particular when I say that.
I guess Microsoft's really happy with its Internet Explorer work, so they've got a next-gen platform for HTML-based applications called C3.
Yeah, this might stand for Cloud Computing Client. Basically, what we're hearing here is that they're saying that, a browser doesn't have to be a browser. Web apps don't have to run inside a browser. Now, I could be completely wrong on what I'm reporting here, because this is all being pulled together. Fuck off, you. This is all being pulled together from snippets and hearsay and whatnot. But basically, C3 is a browser client. And what we're hearing is that it potentially may have access to sort of more local resources like libraries that are running on the computer and that sort of stuff, so that you may be able to get far more functionality than you would ever get out of HTML5 running in a normal browser environment. The best way that I can describe it is think of the Firefox project Prism, or maybe even IE9's pinned tabs.
On steroids.
Kind of application specific, but with far
more horsepower.
Access to resources that are running in your operating system.
This last story, we're going to...
way down the line,
this last story, we're actually going to be playing the video on the outro for you folks.
Good, because I don't want to look at you or talk to you anymore.
But this is being the best IE video you will ever see, and I've got to admit, it is kind of funny. You got to watch for the little bits in the thing. This was done for the UK Image Cup Finals, and it was supposed to be a sort of a private video. It's funny. Let us know what you think. Drop us a line at Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that somebody recorded this off their cell phone while at a developer conference, and just an FYI, this was made by Microsoft, and it's taking the absolute piss out of Microsoft and IE. So it's good to see that sense of humor. Yeah. Thoughts, opinions, feelings, affirmation on Hodgson being a biased, cranky old Canadian fart can all be sent to podcast@winextra.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 251-281-8730. You can also send us your text messages there, and we will play them out along with your Windows 7 mascots, your little tileys to go with your clickies.
But
no
Clippies allowed.
No Clippies allowed. We'll do it all on the show tomorrow.
And on that note, folks, enjoy the video. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Have a great one, folks.
For the last 10 years, in my opinion, Microsoft have consistently got it right.
Internet is going unbelievable because it's so good. What else can I say?
Do they really think we're going to control other browsers?
No way. Internet Explorer set the standards for other browsers.
Visually, IE6 set new expectations for that, the way the web should look. Then IE7 brought along transparent PNGs.
Lack of troubles and frustrations.
And Microsoft giving us the support.
All the bloody time. Claims.
It really is inexplicable how its performance set such high expectations.
Ridiculously great is how I describe their efforts to date.
Things to say about the
Internet Explorer.
Big
Round of applause.
Oh,